All right. Hey, everybody. This is the WAGMI Ventures podcast. I'm Tanner, and I'm here today with Dave Balter, founder and CEO at Flipside Crypto. Dave, what's up? How are you doing today?
Excellent, excellent. Third cup of coffee, ready to go.
Perfect. I'm on number two, so it's going to be a good chat. So I think we could start just by way of introduction for everyone. You've been, a repeat founder. You've also been a board member, advisor, VC. So, before we jump into Flipside Crypto, I would love to talk a little bit about you. And so maybe if you could just talk a little bit about your journey leading up to your work now, maybe through the lens of the evolution of your crypto journey and kind of, lead us to how that led to the genesis of Flipside Crypto.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, first of all, thanks for having me. I'm very excited to be here and chat with you a little bit. To answer the question on the journey, most of my ventures have been around sort of a unscratchable itch of curiosity. I get sort of fanatically obsessed about something and then find myself maybe fortunately or unfortunately running a company, and next thing you know, we're heads down and too busy to think about anything else. This business is the crypto journey, I guess, or this business is relatively the same. We were actually running a different company, a company in the death industry of all industries, the memorialization, funeral homes, people passing away.
Yeah.
It was wild is maybe the right word. I don't know, but wild industry. And we spent about 2 years in it. We were venture backed, and we were building a good company. It was going what I'd consider well, but it's a complex space. It was you're dealing with grief a lot, and you're trying to figure out the psychology of humans, and whatever. Anyway, it was very complex. During the day, we'd run this business, and late 2016, early 2017, we started trading crypto at night. So we'd basically, do this real business during the day, and then at night we'd run off into a room and we'd trade crypto. And the day we knew we had really a transformative moment, the head of product at the death business, it was called Milestone, the head of product, he came one night and he tapped on the window of the conference room and, yeah, come in. And he said, I want you guys to know it feels like you've joined a different tribe. And we were like, what? Oh my God. And we realized at that moment, we were so obsessed with this crypto thing that we really weren't curious enough about the previous business. And that was really it. We sort of eventually turned our attention. We wound down the other company, and what was a trading thing became Flipside Crypto. So we got pulled in. Probably the only folks who went from death to crypto. Maybe that's the way I'd say.
Definitely. Fascinating. Okay. So could you, maybe just to tee us up, explain a little bit about what Flipside Crypto does and, what you guys seek to enable with what you're building?
Sure. So Flipside's a pretty weird business. I'm going to say that. And right off the bat, it is, on the surface, it looks like one thing. Underneath, it's a very different thing. The business itself is a commercialization engine for blockchains. We help blockchains, L1s and L2s, and their protocols really drive key outcomes of growth, acquisition of community members, retention, transaction volumes, really what are key KPIs and how do we grow them? And so the way that we do that is we are exceptional at extracting and curating blockchain data. We take that and we make it freely available to the market. So if you want to come code in Solana or Flow or Near or Avalanche or any of our partners, that's all entirely free. And the way that we sort of monetize that as a business is we then partner with the blockchain foundations themselves. So take Near as an example. We're partners with Near. Near delegates a chunk of their treasury to us. We drive yield off of that treasury, and we take that yield and we use it to motivate our 80,000 network of analysts to go do things that are going to help that blockchain be successful. Okay, so those things could be creating sort of master dashboards around a very important transformational event. It could be around onboarding people into a specific protocol. It could be increasing ROI of NFT purchases through a sort of variety of programs that get people involved. All those things add up to when we engage with a customer, the foundation is funding really us as a resource to help them grow that ecosystem over time.
Fascinating. Okay. I kind of love that model. I didn't quite realize how the analyst network connected to sort of the more public piece. So that's really, really interesting. I think one question I'd have is, really around conviction. Like, as you guys sort of were looking out across the spectrum of opportunities that, where you started could take you, I'm curious what gave you conviction about this particular set of problems. How did you develop enough conviction that would warrant building kind of an entirely new venture around this direction?
Yeah. Really important question there. So the mission of the business has not changed since day one. Okay. When we looked at crypto, we're sitting in a room trading, we eventually raised, tens of millions for funds that we were running for other folks early in the business. Our mission was to enable blockchains to succeed. And our belief system at the time very much was like, look, this is like incredible technology, incredible transformative capacity to sort of enable, trustless economy, all the things we all really know about by being in this space. But, blockchains have a lot, blockchains as an organization or the foundations around them or the way they grow have a long way to go. And so we set out very early on that mission. Our job is to enable blockchains to succeed. So we started, as a fund was sort of, we had all this data that would allow us to understand the actual growth economics of the blockchains. And we would invest in the promise of those. Pretty soon, because of our mission, that turned into creating a rating system. It was called FCAS, Fundamental Crypto Asset Score. It was, embedded in CoinMarketCap and Masari and all sorts of places to help people understand who and which platforms were really growing from a fundamentals perspective. Not people jumping in to get bags, but like who's growing their economy, where is transaction volume shifting, things like that. What we realized, I'll sort of fast forward to sort of as we get further into this journey, what we realized pretty quickly was most foundations or most people who built on blockchains were technologists first and business operators second. And that led us to like the best thing we could do is we could give away all the data for free. Like that is an amazing tool to help blockchain succeed, but then really to partner with the chains to be there, be the folks who can say, we understand how to take, this cohort of people and enable them to become really strong, substantive performers for you to help grow the tools in your ecosystem. So it was sort of these multiple steps of how do we use the data we have in order to go help these folks succeed. But the eventual result is we needed to be partners with the foundations themselves because they were the ones who really have the biggest need to be a successful economy.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. Okay, super interesting. So, I read the open letter you wrote to the Flipside crypto team and published on Medium, and it was, entertaining writing, but it also paints this really interesting journey through this past bear market. And so I was curious a little about how you thought about guiding Flipside crypto through the bear market and what that experience was like. It's something I think a lot of founders listening can kind of relate to and draw some inspiration from.
Yeah. Yeah. The bear market. Do we have to remember that so soon? My God.
Right.
We've been through, this was our third bear market as a business. And I will just say, benefit or curse, the heaves and hoes of the blockchain or crypto industry, they're big swells, you're way up and you're way down, and you have to learn pretty quickly how to ride those. And they're each challenging in their own way. So in a bear market, you are hunkered down doing all the things a business needs to do to survive. You are maintaining capital. You are knowing that your customer sales process is going to be slow. You are, maybe thinking more about helping organizations who are entrenched and need to change their strategies. You may need to help them more as a strategist than actually as a growth engine. Okay, in a bull market, you now have almost, when bulls really happen, almost people get it's too easy almost in a way to aggregate users or to get people to pay attention to a sort of a flash in the pan project. And there you need to change a strategy to be a bit more, let's focus on sort of marathon, not sprints. You can always go do something pretty quick to throw an airdrop up and get a bunch of people onto your platform. But how do you get them to become productive users over time? And so you have to change your energy. I'll just leave that this last bear, if it, I think it's over, but let's say it was 18 months or so. We saw the beginnings of it. Terra was, we think the very beginning, and that was a massive customer for us. And so we saw it like fold on us, like really close. We saw the whole thing begin and then dominoes fall. It is a really painful time. There are days you are wondering if you're crazy, are we all, fooled by the same prophecy that is maybe it's just a game. I don't know. But, as soon as you start to feel the market start to turn and people start to believe again, you go, you know what? I probably learned more in the bear than I've learned in any bull market, but it is not pleasant while you're in it.
Yes, definitely. Super helpful. Okay. So, enough about the bear. I'd love to learn a little bit about, and this is a bit of a recurring question, but I'm always curious about kind of the earliest surprises that did kind of, signal that you were onto something. So instead of maybe, early negative challenges or something, I'm curious about early sort of positive surprises. Like how did you know kind of along the way as you sort of, as things sort of evolved, like what were one or two of those surprises and how did you really take advantage of those opportunities?
Yeah. So I think, it's funny. I haven't thought about this in quite some time. When we moved from FCAS, that rating system, to try to become a more productive, value to the overall success of blockchains, the next thing we did is we decided that we were going to build dashboards for customers. So instead of having what's today, we have 80,000 analysts and they build on their own. We would do all the building ourselves. And I remember there was like a really like crisp moment where this change happened. We were in Singapore for, oh God, if I could remember the event, it was probably about 3.5 years ago. Anyway, we were in Singapore and we had just lost a customer who was using FCAS in their platform. We were having, the group of us were having beers outside and we're sort of licking our wounds. We're like sitting there, like licking our wounds. And somebody said, hey, we ought to, instead of just like putting this rating system up, we ought to like build the dashboards for customers. Yeah. Whatever. God, I don't know. This is so hard. Is it going to work? And the next day we ran into, oh man, now I got to remember who this is. We ran into what became our first dashboard customer. Oh man, I should know who that is. I can't remember who it is. I will
No
find
worries,
the
no
name.
worries.
I will find the name. But anyway, we presented them this moment where we're like, we've never done this before. But what if we, instead of giving you these ratings and telling you what to do with them, what if we made the dashboard for you? And like their eyes lit up. They were like, great. How much does that cost? We did the whole thing where we're like, well, we'll make it up and here's the price, et cetera. But the big learning that we've taken away and has been part of every piece of our journey is that people are willing to take the next leap all the time in this space. Okay, they knew we'd never built dashboards like this before, but they were like, no problem. We'll give that a shot. Go right ahead. And it's been this thing that always sticks with us when you sort of, in most industries, you come forward and you say, I've never done this before, or this is something that no one's ever made work. What do you think about doing this? In this industry, unlike any other, people are like, game on. Let's explore a bit. Let's see what's around the corner. Let's try something we've never done. it goes back to that curiosity thing. People in this space are just, they're willing to try the next thing. It's been, I think it's what's made, it's what's made us be able to exist through bear markets, right? Everybody is sort of in the same boat together. Like, what's the experiment and how are we going to make it happen? It's really, really powerful for people to have that skill.
Yeah, I love that. Okay. So I want to take a step back here in a second and ask a couple questions about the space more broadly, but I'd be remiss not to ask about kind of where you see things going at Flipside Crypto, because it's already doing such cool work, right? But I'm curious, where do you hope things evolve or progress over time as you sort of look out on a new market cycle and really like a new year? What's got you most excited?
Yeah. Well, here's probably the thing that's most powerful in what we do, and then we can get to maybe what has me excited. So we haven't released this yet. This will be the first time I've ever actually talked about this. If you take 20 blockchains that we do not work with, okay, 20 market size comparative to chains that we would work with, and you put them on a benchmark and you say, if you put $1 million into these 20 blockchains 6 months ago, what would it be worth? And of course, we've been in a mini bull market, and those all, as you average out, that $1 million would be worth a bit more. If you take our partners and you do the same thing with them and say, if you took $1 million, what would that be worth now? We tend to be about 80 to 90% stronger in outcomes than that benchmark. Okay. What's happening is we're able to go into each of these partners, these blockchains, and we're able to say, we can sort of mess around with getting people to activate in a certain way to a point at which the blockchain has a stronger likelihood of growing its market cap or growing its overall value in the ecosystem to the tune of 80 to 90%, like incredibly, incredibly rich outcomes. So that's the first thing. Like, that's what we do for companies. What has me most excited is every single thing we do is skew leveled, meaning if we run an acquisition program, it has a certain sort of coding. And if we run a program for a certain type of master dashboard, it has a coding. And if it's NFT, et cetera, we're able to see now, and this is what's coming across blockchains, which patterns of behaviors are most likely to lead to increases in overall value. Okay, so moving from the world where everyone jumps on the same bandwagon, I'm going to do an airdrop and I'm going to get people all excited, and then they're going to go do X or Y, and that'll make me big, to, well, what around an airdrop creates long-term consistent outcomes? Okay, and that, once this industry starts to understand these behaviors more deeply, anybody can use them to be successful. And that has me most excited. Not even can Flipside be successful doing it or our partners, but everybody should know this data, because it'll make all of us better at being able to grow this whole industry, as opposed to the chain that we're most infatuated with or whatever as we do. So very excited about that.
Yeah, fascinating contribution to be able to make to the space. That's really, really interesting. So, okay, I want to maybe take that step back I mentioned, where I'd love to ask maybe just some more general questions. And I think the first one I've got, since you've been in the space for a little bit, you mentioned you've seen 3 cycles already. I think I'm always curious, for folks who've been in it for a while, how has crypto changed since you've been in the space? And really, like, what do you think crypto's getting right here at the start of 2024? And where do you think we could maybe be doing things a little bit better?
Yeah. Well, here's what hasn't changed. The smartest, most, curious, I'll use the word again, but most sort of intelligent and predisposed to building innovation people I've ever met hang around this space, from all walks, economists to technologists, social contributors. Like, it's just a fascinating mix. That behavior, who decides to be in crypto, has not changed at all. Okay, what's changed, and I think we're still mid-evolution of this. When we first got in, it was just before the ICO craze, and that felt a little like, sneak money out the back door of the barn. Is this legal? Is it not legal? But I don't know. I'm going to ICO and raise some money. Woo! That moved to sort of like, over the past couple of years, what are the SEC guidelines? People became less, I'll do it, I'll just try to sneak through, right? But there still were, places where we went through certainly FTX and, 3 Arrows and people doing, what I'd consider misbehaving deeply, illegally, fraudulently in the space. Okay, that's bad too. ICOs are bad. This is bad. Where you are now is, I think, a lot of the do we need to steal from ourselves in order to be successful behavior is no longer here. Okay, there's always going to be people who want to get bags. What can I do to cut the corner and, get in early and get my thing? But the behavior to get there, which has been maybe a little too corner cutting, is now really around, wow, we can build real things and we do deliver. We don't need to maybe try to cheat our way there, but we actually do have real products that are succeeding, and it's harder. You can't shortcut, right? But it's happening. And so the change I see now is a lot more level-headedness and reality pervades these organizations and the builders. It's yeah, we're doing a real thing here, not trying to sneak our way to the other side. And that's really powerful. So I think I said at the beginning, we're sort of part of the way there. I don't think we're out of the woods yet. I think this space will only benefit if the people seeking to make a quick buck and get out are moved on, and the faster that happens, the better we're all going to be.
Definitely. Okay, so next question would really be around how you think about really say you're speaking with a relatively new founder in the space and you want to kind of impart your most generalizable advice to that founder specific to the crypto space, right? Because it's such a unique ecosystem and world. I'm curious, what would your most generalizable advice be for a founder who's relatively new to crypto coming in, say, right about now at this kind of moment in the market cycle?
It won't, it won't always feel just like this. Okay. So here there's, we're entering almost FOMO territory, Bitcoin, I think just crossed 49,000 today.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Everyone's woo,
we're so back.
Right. We're so back. Right. But you got to be ready for the ups and downs. Right. And that's okay. It's part of what makes this space work. There's, so every day, there are people who enter our business when it's going up like this, and they're wow, this industry is oh my God, it's the best thing ever. It's it's so easy. It's always up, always up. Yeah. It's not always up. And, the price of Bitcoin doesn't justify the things you're building, right? Or the price of your token doesn't justify the things you're building. Building great products will always prevail. So, be even keeled would be the advice, because you're going to have multiple cycles to work through, and, don't take the highs too high and don't take the lows too low. Just keep building, keep your head down. You're going to be a lot better off for it.
Very cool. Great advice. So Dave, couple last questions here for you. I'm always curious for founders who come on, you have such an interesting vantage point being in the space. I'm curious, from that vantage point, what excites you the most in crypto outside of Flipside? What, maybe any projects or any particular trends, narratives that are kind of most interesting to sort of building this future you've described so well?
Man, do I even look outside of Flipside? I don't even know. I don't even know what's outside of Flipside. I'm just so narrow focused. I think you're starting to see some real maturing of things. So I think about Base and, Farcaster. Let's use that as an example. We've long seen social media evolve from, I don't even know what Twitter is anymore. And, you've got Mastodon, all these things. There are people building real solutions around the space. Farcaster is a pretty cool piece of not just social infrastructure, but a true way, the decentralized promise of the social infrastructure. And it's happening, it's real. It's not some kibitzy little toy that somebody built on top of a platform and got a flash in the pan. Like these are real things. And so I really like what's happening there. Like it's not, it's not, it's not social just to be social. It's like, let's build real fundamental technologies. I was at it. So on the totally other side of that, I was at a dinner last week, a TradFi dinner. And most of what people talked about was like beyond my tiny brain, RWAs, and, I don't even know if those are real world assets or risk weighted assets, but they're, basically a lot of real TradFi stuff is truly happening. You've seen, Fidelity has never wavered from its commitment here and is building just a massive business in this space. But, of course, the BlackRocks and all the others who are sort of coming through in the ETFs, like it's getting pretty real. So we don't do a lot with that type of stuff, but like it's that's real. My dad is 84 and a stockbroker at UBS, and he's like, wow, this is it's finally working. Like for him to even say that, who's been trading bonds forever. Like I'm like, yeah, it is. It's kind of working. That's really exciting.
Love it. Okay. So Dave, 2 last questions here for you. First one, you've touched on a bit, but want to make space for anything else. Basically just what's your team working on right now? And then what's the best way for people to follow along the journey?
Yeah. So most of what we're focused on right now is the identification of which component parts of activities add up to big picture outcomes. And maybe I'll put this in the lens of a story. I used to work at a company called dunnhumby, and dunnhumby was a data analytics business that helped supermarkets succeed. And they had a philosophy. Their philosophy was you should help make loyal customers more loyal. Okay, that's how you will grow your business. And a lot of folks focus on other things, like we're going to do just quick price promotions and like try to get people in the store right away. And the way that they always talked about this story was there was a product in Tesco supermarkets called milk rolls. And these were a certain type of product that not a lot of people bought. And so Tesco eventually said, we're going to get rid of these. Like they don't sell very well. Well, dunnhumby analyzed the data, and what they found was the top people who shop at the store, top 1% of baskets, top frequency of visits, were buying milk rolls. They came literally because Tesco had these. Okay. And so they stopped Tesco from taking them off shelves. And when they looked at thousands of products in that lens, you can start to see all of the supermarket, really the sort of overall supermarket, growing over time. Okay. And it's the same thing here. What we might find is quite contrarian. People who show up to get an airdrop may be a really ineffective tool for your organization over time versus people who come contribute 3 or 4 different things over the course of time. Okay. And so we are spending all of our time figuring out those behaviors, because you don't want the people who are here just for the quick hit. You want the people who are here for the long term.
Love it. Dave, thank you so much for the time. Really fascinating insights here. And I'm pumped to keep watching all the cool work coming out of Flipside over the coming weeks and months. So awesome. Thanks again, and have a great rest of your week.
You too. Thanks, Tanner.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.